All right. Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Desk, a podcast where we go past job titles and explore the stories and journeys and ideas that shape the people behind them. Today, I'm joined by Miss Meghna Harjani, a brilliant professional whose journey has taken her from studying at Warwick to completing her master's at IE University in Madrid. With that international academic foundation, she's now building an exciting career where she supplies her skills and global perspective to real-world challenges. So, Miss Meghna, how are you doing today?
Good. Feel great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you, and it's great to have this discussion.
Thank you. Great to be here. So happy to have a chat.
All right, beautiful. So I think we'll start with a question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go for it. Let's kick off whenever you're ready.
All right. So the first question that I have for you is that many students tend to struggle with choosing between passion and practicality when it comes to careers, right? How do you balance those
Yeah.
factors when making your own decisions? Because some students tend to choose sports, but then when they look at it from a more practical or logical perspective,
Yeah.
they tend to choose a route which is more popular. And then that
Okay.
causes them to lose their passion. So how would you balance out these two interests?
So first I have a couple of questions, right? Because mine was
Yeah.
a bit different, my journey. Um, I would even ask people, do you even know what your passion is, right? Do you even know what your passion is? Like, do you know something you're passionate about? And if you're passionate about something, is this something you love doing as a side hustle? It's something that you want to do every day? Because sometimes, for
Mhm.
example, you love cooking, but being a chef is
Yeah,
very tough. Like I would love to
yeah,
open a cafe, but do I like inventory management? Do I like accounting? Do I like all the things? Right? So like really understanding that what that passion could mean when you do it in terms of a career, something that could earn you a bit of income. That's the first thing.
yeah,
But I'll just talk a bit about my experience. So
yeah,
for me, when I was first graduating from college and university, it was very clear to me that I wanted to go to banking. So I think I spoke about this when we first met,
yeah.
because banking was the right job to do, the high-paying job. You do economics, you go to banking. So it was very practical, very what was the right job to do, very conditioning based on society's approval. And then when I first did my job in banking, I realized I hated it. I realized that it's really not what I want to do. And that's kind of when I went to start to explore what is it really that I like? What is it really that I
Mm,
enjoy doing, right? So that's kind of when I lowered my expectation of what's maybe the right thing to do. And I said, hey, take a bunch of internships. I'm not going to earn a full-time salary. I'm maybe not going to be on a path of like progression like some of my friends when I do this, but I said, I want to figure out what I do, right? And that's kind of how I landed upon working in technology. And I realized, hey, I love this skill set. I love what I do every day. I love how every day is different. I work with technology. I feel the impact. It's something tangible for me. So I think I kind of learned the skills that I enjoy working in. That's why today, if I look at what I do product, of course, 20% of my role I don't enjoy, whereas reporting and the date, like reporting and presentation and stuff like that. But 80% I enjoy working with people. I enjoy the negotiation, the inspiration. I enjoy like working with something very tangible. So I would say, for example, just figuring out really what you enjoy, making sure that your job has at least 70 to 80% of what you enjoy. And that could be a
mm,
particular skill. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's doing analysis if you really love data and data excites you. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of how I balance it. But for me, I was a bit lost, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do. But for me, if people do have a passion, and I know it's my advice always like try it because I always think that, for example, your career path is never linear, right? So it's like
Yeah.
your first few years, yes, of your career are formative, but you can always make a switch. I've switched careers four
Mm,
times, right? I've seen
yeah,
friends switch from like literally finance to PR, or and now they love PR, or like switch
yeah.
from something very random to entrepreneurship and opening co-working spaces. So like I see people switch around, and I realize today where it's such an open, the world is way more open that you
Yeah.
can really like move from different places. You can be an entrepreneur much easier now, and you can be a really good expert at something, and you can make money, and you can have like all these social media out there. So I would say if you have a passion, you know what you want, I would always say try it. And once you realize, hey, am I enjoying doing 80% of this, or do I want something else? Kind of figure it out. That's how I kind of balance passion versus being practical. Um, Kind of getting somewhere in the middle. Like 80% I enjoy doing what I do, 30% has to
Mm,
come of a bit of like, well, I need money to pay my rent,
yeah,
right? I
of
need to
course.
make sure that it's a bit stable, that I'm not, it's super unstable. So that's kind of how I think about it. But I need to like what I do.
Yeah, so I kind of what I got from that is there should be a middle ground,
Yeah.
and there's always like a trial and error that should go on, right? And
Yeah.
that's what like a lot of like teachers, mentors say as well.
Yeah.
that you should try yourself out. If you don't like it, there are always different opportunities, and now it's so much
Yeah.
easier to connect and get these
Yes.
opportunities with different platforms. Like social media is such a great platform.
Yes.
We can like connect with anyone from anywhere in the world, learn about their experiences, and then we can make our own informed decision from that. So I do
A
believe that,
hundred percent.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I completely agree. And I also think, for example, like the nature of work has changed, right? We work in more
Yeah,
flexible remote scenarios. So if you're really passionate about, I know people who like run supper clubs on the weekend and do work, right? So like
yeah,
I feel like I feel like you should never give up on what you're passionate. Always make it part of your life because that gives you energy. But also the thing
yeah,
that you have to do because sometimes you need to make money,
of
make
course.
sure 70 or 80% of it that you enjoy doing. So
Yeah,
if maybe you cannot cook every day, but can I cook for my friends or can I teach?
yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of way today that we can weave it into our life without
hmm
being like, I'm going to be a starving artist
Yeah,
because you can do so much more today. So for
of
example, that's
course.
how I think it.
Yeah, I think now with like being in such a modern period, I think
Yeah.
it's really easy for us to find these opportunities and kind of
Yeah.
ensure that our interests and passion is not lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Like I know people who like work corporate jobs, but then they go and teach yoga to their
Mm.
teams because they're
Yeah,
like a yoga teacher on the side,
of
right? And I
course.
see
Yeah,
it
yeah,
even if they're working corporate where they're fixed 9 to 6. So I would say if you have a passion, make sure you give it the time and the energy and
yeah,
it will
yeah,
work. Like I
yeah.
really believe it. So
Yeah, of course. If you enjoy something, you'll definitely take your
yeah.
own time out to make sure that
Yeah.
you get that internal satisfaction as well. Because I
Yeah.
believe
And yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
because I believe that satisfaction is probably the most important thing when looking for a job. Because if you're not satisfied, if you're not happy, then I don't think you'll be able to perform as well as you'll be able to do in a field where you genuinely have that interest or passion towards.
Yeah. 100%. I completely agree. But it's also understanding like what gives you satisfaction. For some
Yeah,
people, it could be I want to earn a lot. So
yeah,
it really could be, and you have to be very realistic. Some people are like, I just want to earn a lot, right? I want the
yeah.
validation. I would say go a bit deeper, but not everyone's on that level, right? So it's just figuring out what does practical mean for you. What are the areas and how much weight do I want to give it?
hmm
And then figure that out for yourself, right? People
Okay.
just have different motivations as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great. I think both of the two worlds and like finding the middle ground is really important.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. Good question. Thank you. Thanks for
thank
it.
you. All right, for the second question, I have
Yeah.
looking back from your journey to where you are right now, what's
Yeah.
one challenge or failure that ended up teaching you more than success ever could?
Good one. I have a theory where I think challenges in general teach you more than successes, right?
Yeah,
In general, I do believe that they teach you a lot more, but they come through a painful learning journey, right?
yeah,
So I'll give you one example. I worked in tech consulting. So
hmm
I have this thing where like I hate failure. So you have starters and finishers, right?
yeah,
For me, I'm like, I will not start a project if I can't finish it. So if I start something, I have to finish it. Like I
hmm
set a goal of half marathon, I need to get there.
yeah,
I was working in tech consulting. I was working on a very intense 2 year project. Really tough client. It was very high risk. It was getting a lot of management attention because it was a very high stake project. The CEO was like breathing down my neck on like deliverables and milestones and stuff like that. It was really intense. And I worked on it for I think about 2 years, but it was really tough. I was working long hours. I was constantly in conflict with my CEO. The client was very tough. A lot of people quit in the organization. The culture wasn't good, and I just didn't believe in the leadership and how they were handling it and how they were managing it. That being said, I was up for promotion in the next few months. I knew the project, like I got the project so far, and I was like, okay, one more year of like, the hypercare and stuff like that, I can get through it.
yeah,
But I remember waking up and thinking like, I'm just really not enjoying my day. Like, I just really don't
mm
enjoy the people I work with. I don't believe in the company. I don't believe in the leadership. Like, do I want to be here? But at the same time, I'm like, but I've worked in this project. I've gotten it so far when I joined the project, and I was leading the project. But then I woke up and I decided to quit. And it was very hard for me because I still had the project ongoing. I quit without having a job. I quit without having a job. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? And should I quit? Will I get a job? You have all these like voices in your head, right?
yeah,
But for me, it was so important because that journey, that moment taught me exactly what I value in work, right? It showed me my principles of work. So for me, it's I only want to work with people I believe in, right? A leader is very important. So I need to believe in the leader. And for me, culture is everything. it kind of showed me three things like what are my core principles and values that I want to bring to work, and what are my boundaries, right? And I realized my boundaries and I respected my boundaries. So I think that was the first thing. And now when I lead and I manage my own team, for me, culture is everything. So I bring in and be the leader I want to be, and I make sure
Hmm.
culture, I put extra effort into culture and stuff like that because so it was a really great learning and also trusting yourself, like, hey, you know what, I can quit and I'll be okay. That feeling of like, I'm not gonna get a job, and oh my God, what about, will anyone
Yeah.
hire me? Like trusting yourself that hey, I have enough experience was a huge learning for me because it changes your mindset when you go apply for your next job, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, when bringing in the point of culture, I think it's really
Yeah,
important because once you're surrounded by like-minded people who kind of follow the same goal, the same passion, I think it's
yeah,
easier to work with them. You have better collaboration, your productivity increases.
yeah,
So it's like kind of like a positive multiplier effect where like if one thing is good, then that kind of has like
yeah.
multiple things end up changing in a positive manner.
100%. And like I think also today the jobs we do, we're not pressing buttons, right? Like we're working
Yeah.
with people. So like and you could be with a very diverse set of people.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to like at least get along, collaborate well,
Yeah.
enjoy, be motivated, be inspired. Because you notice sometimes you may not like the job you do, right? Or you may not like a particular task, or things are
Yeah.
very tough, or a project's very tough. But if you have like a group of people you can share that with, it just makes
Exactly.
it much easier,
Yeah.
right? And I also think your generation, my generation, well, I'm much older, but like the generations are
Yeah.
really focusing on work culture. Like they're not okay with
Exactly.
like very tough, bad managers, old school managers. Like they're just not going to follow it, which I appreciate.
Of
It
course.
it just what has to be done.
Yeah, because if you have, let's say, a bad manager, you won't
Yeah,
be able to have the same productivity that you would be able to do in like a much more open culture, because if you're able to share your thoughts with everyone,
yeah,
it's kind of like
yeah.
you're collaborating with people and then you're also able to, share your thoughts, share your ideas, and which people can build upon, and then you end up getting to a solution that you wouldn't have gotten to by yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think I completely agree. Like, I think a manager is very important because they could really stunt your growth, really enable you, be
Yeah.
able to bring out your best, right? A manager is almost
Yeah.
like, especially when you're early in your career, and if you don't have the right manager, you probably will not bring out your best. You would not
Yeah.
bring out the best decision making. It might come from a sense of fear, worry, maybe anxiety, maybe lack of trust, versus when feel very comfortable in your skin and say, hey, this is my capacity, and that person brings out your capacity. So completely agree. So actually managers vary everything, and I always give advice like if you can really take jobs as well, if you can, based on like the team you're working with, to try to know who the manager is, try to understand that it's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the most important factors that you have to kind of understand and look
yeah,
at before kind of buying in
yeah,
the idea, the project that you're working on.
yeah. And honestly, to be honest, like it's also like a privilege, right? You can't always. It's
Yeah.
like you want a dream job in X company and you get into a team and maybe you don't get along with the manager and you guys are very different and that person's not very good at managing, right? Because they're first time managing a team. So it's also a privilege to be able to pick it.
Hmm.
But I also think it's kind of like also realizing that, hey, do I get along? And one advice I give is like, okay, my manager's not going to adapt to me. How could I adapt to my manager?
Yeah.
Right? Whether that means not relying on him a lot or adapting my communication so I can work better. So it's also as a younger employee, it's your
Yeah.
responsibility to adapt to your manager and to the workings of the thing while you're in that situation. Because sometimes you
Yeah.
can't control it, right? You can't just
Yeah.
quit in a week.
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
I try to work around? How do I work around? How do I manage it? And how do I adapt? And how do I maybe, okay, he's not a good manager for me. Okay, how do I tolerate it and still grow without needing him as my enabler?
Exactly.
Who
Yeah.
else can enable me, basically?
Yeah. It's always a two-way process, like the
Oh
best
yeah.
analogy that comes to mind is a teacher and a student. A teacher
Hmm.
can only teach you so much, but at the end of the day, a student has to take the opportunities, take it beyond the classroom to actually
Yeah.
excel. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like the same analogy
Yeah.
that works in the corporate world as well.
Absolutely. 100%. And actually,
Yeah,
in the other cases, in the real world, the student or the employee actually has a
yeah,
lot more work to make sure because
exactly. Yeah,
not everyone is an enabler, right? So you have to
of
take a lot more
course.
accountability of your growth.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but completely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next one.
Uh-huh.
In your career so far, have you faced moments where you had to step out of your comfort zone? And how did you really handle them? Because, right now, for me being like a 16-year-old,
Yeah.
being in like such a bubble of the school where
Yeah.
it gives me structure, getting out of my comfort zone feels a bit scary and I get a bit anxious. So how
Yeah.
did you handle it and what advice would you give for people moving out of their comfort zone to kind of handle that same anxiety?
Very good question. I think so. I'm somebody worried to always be too comfortable. So actually, a lot of my careers have been a lot of my choices have been out of my comfort zone. I'll give you one example, which I always mention, but it was one example that, when I finished my MBA, I got a job in Berlin in product logistics. Now, I never thought of going to Berlin. I wanted to go to product, and logistics is a very complex industry to understand.
Yeah.
I was changing geographies, changing functions, changing industries. It's very rare that you do
Hmm.
like a trifecta change, right?
Yeah.
But I said, hey, let's just go, right? I went in. There's no training at that age, right? And you're not
Yeah.
trained to be a product. You're not trained on
Of
logistics,
course.
right? So like
Of course.
everything. So navigating a new city was very uncomfortable. Navigating a new role, and if you work in products, a lot of product lingo people use. It's like it's like this little cup,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then logistics has its own acronym. So every evening I was like reading logistics, listening to logistics podcasts. I'd be like trying to do like product courses and like at the same time navigate through the bureaucracy of moving to a new country, making new friends. So it was really tough. The first year was really, really tough for me. But to be honest, it was my greatest of learning. Because I kind of learned how to navigate through it all. I learned to like trust myself. I learned to be like, hey, don't worry. Like I learned to define what success means for me, right? So and also today I'm leading product at a startup because of that experience, because I put myself in out of my comfort zone in a new culture, a new kind of company that I had not worked in a scale up before. I was in consulting. um, so I think it really got me very far. So I think the way I say what I tell people is like your career and your life will always push you out of your comfort zone, right? Every
Yes, of
phase of your
course.
life is built to push you out of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
Um, it is very hard, but it's like how do you get comfortable being out of your comfort zone? That's kind of what I ask people. How can you get more comfortable doing? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard,
Yeah.
but can you not make it a big deal? I don't know if that's advice or not, but for me, I'm always the one to take the leap, and I know that'll pass. Because always like when you have like the change curve,
Yeah.
there's always initially a huge like if you implement a new product or new change, it's always a disruption where like productivity goes down and then goes up, right? So that's kind of how I imagine. Like this is really hard right now, and
Yeah.
everything I'm doing is kind of falling, but I know it's going to spring up. So I always take up the graph in my head, and I said, this is really hard. Even moving back to Dubai, what I did was very hard, like readjusting to the city and my new role. I was okay, like that the curve has to dip to go back up. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
visual I give myself every time. And also nothing is final. Like you'll just get
Of
like
course.
I've done it when you do it enough, you know that it gets easier. So sometimes like, okay, this is really hard right now, but I know 4 months time, these problems are not going to be problems anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I tell myself. So I don't think there's like I, I wouldn't say there's like a checklist of what you should do to be
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone. For me, it's like if you do it enough, you'll realize the
Mm.
pattern of it,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of how
Yeah.
I see it, right? That being said, one of the hardest things is going from university to your first job. That is the biggest change of life, right? Even though I
Yeah.
did internships, and you'll see that I'm sure you're also going to intern, you're going to go to college. Moving from a university or school setup where you have like teachers guiding you, everyone's there to like help you figure it out, and going to work where you have to work 9 to 6, figure it all out, manage company politics sometimes, depending on manage the way of working.
Yeah.
College is fun, you meet your friends every day. It's one of the biggest changes.
Yeah.
Plus, you make your own money as well. So, also like managing that is a big change.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, because what I believe is that if you go to university, you go to school, they kind of give you like a structure, even though
yes,
it might not be as like strict. They still
yeah,
give you that, okay, you have class at this time, you
yeah,
have like you have to study at this time, you have this midterm coming up,
yeah,
et cetera. But then I think in like when you go to work, it's kind of like you are on your own. You have
yeah,
to meet your targets, but
yeah,
when we're not going to be like constantly on you that, you have to do it. So it's kind of like you have to make yourself like understand that, I have to do all of this by myself.
yeah,
And I get that there's no
yeah,
definitive answer to this, but what I kind of believe for like getting out of your comfort zone is you have to be comfortable and you have to know that you won't get success right after you leave. there's always like this learning curve. There's always like this dip, as you mentioned, in which you
Yeah,
may not be the success or the ideal person, but the experiences and the learning that you get will definitely be with you for the rest
yeah.
of your life.
100%. And I think what you said is super important because it's kind of like it's very
Yeah,
output based versus hey, like experience based. Like
yeah.
looking at your life and your career in general, it's like, hey, life is simply about experiences. I'm
Hmm.
here to learn and I'm here to share, right? You share your skill, you share your time, you share your energy, you learn. If you just look at life as a series of experiences to be gathered, you put less focus and pressure on the output.
Yeah,
Am I delivering the best capacity because this ex analyst is really good and has 2 years advanced to me, right? So
yeah.
if you just look at life, just experiences of learning and also sharing because you're sharing at the same time,
Of course, of
uh,
course.
it doesn't become such a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm just trying this out. I'm trying this new job. I'm trying this new city. I'm trying this out.
yeah.
It's really hard, but nothing is final because it's going to keep changing. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like getting out of your comfort zone is a learning opportunity for you.
Yeah,
So you might grow in terms of, I don't know, if you're working, for example, like you were working in product, so you got better understanding in product through getting out of your
yeah,
comfort zone, but other people
yeah,
might grow with different skills, they might become better critical thinkers, they might become better communicators. So I definitely feel like getting
yeah.
out of your comfort zone helps you b grow both in a workplace manner and as like a
Yeah.
personal, more
Ab-
individual manner as well.
Absolutely, because you'll learn parts of yourself you didn't know. So,
Yeah,
example, if you've never hiked before and you go on like a hiking trip at school and you're like, oh my God, I hate the mountains. And you climb the hike and you camp and you're like, actually, I can camp and I'm not bad at it, right? So when you
exactly.
do something difficult or different, you just learn something new about yourself. And maybe you
Exactly.
decide not to do it again, but then you know that you're capable of it, right? And it could be the
Exactly.
same thing as like trying a sport, trying paddle. You've never done it, but you're like, let me try it. Like, actually, I suck at racket sports or I'm really good at it, right? So
Yeah.
you learn things about yourself that you can use to be better
Yeah.
in personal, exactly as you said.
Exactly. Even if you're not good at anything, you'll kind of like learn that maybe this is not my forte. I can kind of
Yeah,
divert myself to maybe work on my strengths and ensure that, the strengths that I have, I'm working it to the maximum and reaching my maximum capability.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
All right. So the question that I had, which was kind of like a surprise question for you,
okay,
is that if you
excited.
could go back and give your 18 or 16-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be and why would you tell your 16 or 18-year-old self this?
Very good question.
You can take your time to think.
Uh,
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
the advice that I would give to my 18-year-old self, plus the advice I'd give to my 33-year-old self,
Oh,
is
okay.
honestly like don't take life so seriously.
Hmm.
Like I remember when I was young, like getting into the college felt like the biggest goal and the most important thing in the world. And getting a job was the most important thing. And getting that promotion was super important. Like
Yeah.
I put so much pressure into every aspect that I felt was so important, right? And these things are important. Getting a job,
Yes, of
figuring out
course.
what you want to do. I was so important. Like it's like don't take it so seriously, like 16 or 18, I felt like my world would end if I didn't get the job. And oh my God, I don't know what I want to do, and I'm so lost. And I just took things so seriously. I would just say, don't take life so seriously.
Yeah,
Work hard, learn, have fun, but like you will get to where you need to get to, right? You'll get to. I mean,
exactly.
you need to work hard. You put in the effort,
Of
but
course.
all of these are. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun
Yeah.
in college, right? It's meant to be excited to try a new job and try a new workplace because you get exposed to so much. Like all of these things they're hard, but they're also kind of fun, right? So just don't take it so seriously. And it's not as world changing or earth shattering of a
Hmm.
decision as it is like it's simply a decision. And it could be the right
Exactly.
one, it could be the wrong one. If it's a wrong one, it's okay. Right? You could get into a job, hate it, and be like, it's fine. I went into banking, hated it. It's fine. I am here
Yeah.
today, right? I said to my MBA in a whim. I was unsure. Good decision. Loved it. Perfect. So it's kind of like you will make wrong decisions and you will make
Yeah.
right ones, and it's completely fine. And don't take it so seriously, right? That's kind of what I would give myself because we're always so in decision paralysis. But oh my God, this job is going to shape my next 5 years, or this
Yeah.
college degree, or should I study? But do I do macro econ or behavioral econ as my college subjects?
Yeah.
Because if I do behavioral econ, can I go into this? And then you realize like none of it matters as much or it's not as big a decision shaping where you will end up as you think will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's what
so
I
that's
kind
kind
of
of what I've
believe
done.
that, if you have like
Mm.
plan that is set in stone, for example,
Yeah,
I think life will always find ways to challenge you or maybe divert that
yeah,
plan. So,
yeah.
like, I agree because, like, I would say, like, a year ago, I thought that my end goal of life would be getting into a good uni, and then,
Yes,
working and then just being all happy because I did what I wanted to do. But then in the past year, I've kind of realized that maybe it's not the end goal. Uni
yeah,
is just a step in the process. And the job is also a step in the process because at the end of the day,
yeah,
the goal has to be something personal, something individual.
yeah,
You can't have like
yeah.
you can't have a goal where it's like, I just want to get into a good uni. But what if
Yes,
it's not the right fit? You don't know
a hun-
because you haven't experienced it.
100%. And it's amazing that you realize it at your age because like when I was like your age, I thought exactly I just to get into college.
Yeah.
College is the goal. But then
Yeah.
what you realize is there's life in college. And then you're like, I just need my
Mhm.
first job. Like that's what and you just focus on that and you put all the energy and be like, okay, I got here now, but now I have to live the job. I have to
Exactly.
figure it out. And I want to then grow and find my routine. So very impressed that you realize this at a younger age, but that's exactly it, right? Like everything is simply a phase and an experience. So
Yeah.
experience college, enjoy it, experience your first job, and then there'll be another job, and then there'll be, you know what I mean? We just think like this is the means to an end, or we have to just get there. And
Yeah.
you have to get there, but you're also getting there for the experience. You're not just
Of
getting there
course.
to get there, right? So
Yeah.
um I think it's great that you realize I think students this nowadays are more aware of these things. They understand that it's not a means to an end. And I think if you just go with that attitude, frankly,
Yeah.
you would realize that, hey, I love college. You know, if I don't like college, holy shit, I don't like it. And that's okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind
So,
of like I
yeah,
think that with our generation, there's kind of like a variation because of social media. There's so much pressure on kids
yeah,
nowadays because they see so many success stories because
yeah,
because social media tends to push success stories, but you don't realize that behind one or two
yeah,
success stories, there are like hundreds of other stories that might relate to you, but you're just not reaching or
yeah,
getting to it. So I feel that social media also
mm,
has kind of like a role to play in terms of like the amount of pressure it's putting on you, the amount of like,
yeah,
the success stories that it's putting on you.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, you kind of have to make your own goal and not base it off of someone because
yeah,
everyone is different. Like for example, my friend might have another goal than what I do, and it's perfectly fine
yeah,
that it's
yeah,
individual,
yeah,
it's personal. So I don't think that people should start basing things off of other people just because of what they see. I think it's kind of like your own reflective or thinking process that you
yeah,
kind of have to go through. You need to ask yourself the right questions to kind of figure out the goal that you have. And of course, it'll take time. I don't have life figured out at 16 years, and that's perfectly fine, and I'm happy with it. But even like a 24-year-old may not have it figured out, but like he or she may be at the position where they're happy right now. So I
yeah,
believe that, you should ask yourself the right questions every step of the
yeah,
way, and then you'll find your goal one day or another.
yeah. I think 1,000%. I'm 32 and I don't have life figured out either. I'm just figuring out life bit by bit at any
Exactly.
phase what I like. So I don't think so. And I think you're absolutely right. But I think it takes a lot of work to understand as well what, you know, do I also need to do A, B, C, D, E, F like that person is doing? It's very hard.
Exactly.
And I think social media affects young kids, but also affects me. I look at people like doing talks and doing leadership talks, and but also working out. I was like, wow, they're doing all these things. How to make time? And I'm just going to work and just working out. So I think it affects us all, and it's very hard, which is why I'm on Instagram detox at the moment, so I can focus
Yeah.
on habits that I enjoy. It's
Yeah.
very hard for I think students your age and a generation younger to do that. Um, but I completely agree. I think the whole idea of
Yeah.
life, if we go very philosophical, is to figure out, hey, what do I like? What do I not like? What do I enjoy? What do I not enjoy? What fits me now and what doesn't fit me? Today, maybe you love football. Maybe 5 years, you're like, actually, I don't like football anymore. I just want to go to play paddle because football hurts my knee. Hypothetical. So your entire life is just figuring out what fits you now and what
Exactly.
doesn't fit you, and that's going to keep changing every year or every 5 years, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. Nothing
Yeah.
sticks forever, right? This
Exactly.
is how I see it. So I think very very good thoughts, and you will definitely succeed with that kind of mindset.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss, for
So
this beautiful conversation. I think our viewers alongside me, I got to learn a lot, not only about the career, but also about mindsets that go behind, shaping people into who they are. And I like the advice that was given, I personally will take that into account a lot of the times during my school life, my uni life, and everything. And I
Yeah.
think our viewers should also take that into account when, looking at paths that they want to choose, be it their passion, be it practicality. I think this is a beautiful episode. So I would like to thank you, first of all, for this conversation. And yeah, I hope to catch up
Thank
soon.
you. Yeah, thank you and good luck. And I also learned from you.
Thank you.
So thank you. It was a very nice chat. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. All right.